Before we open any tool, I want to reset the way we think about OSINT learning. When people first hear OSINT, the first request is usually very practical. Give me the websites, give me the search tricks, give me the plugins. That makes sense. Tools feel concrete. You can open them, click them, and get results quickly. But a tool can only help you find something. It will not automatically tell you whether the result is reliable, whether it answers your question, whether it is strong enough for a report, or how carefully the conclusion should be worded. Imagine someone sends you a screenshot and says, "Can you check if this company really made this announcement?" A tool tutorial may show you where to search the company name. This course asks something earlier. What exactly is the screenshot claiming? Where should the original announcement exist if it is real? What public sources could confirm it? What would count as weak evidence? What would count as strong evidence? That is the difference. We will still use tools, but the goal is investigation capability, not a bigger bookmark folder. One of the easiest traps is believing that a long tool list means you know how to investigate. You may have seen those OSINT collections with hundreds of links. Username search, reverse image search, company lookup, map tools, domain tools, social media search. Useful, yes. But when a real task arrives, the tool list does not tell you the order of thinking. Suppose a friend sends a chat screenshot. The screenshot claims that a public figure said something controversial. If you jump straight into tools, you may search the visible words, search the image, maybe search the account name. But the first real question is simpler. What is this screenshot trying to prove? If it is trying to prove that a specific person said a specific sentence at a specific time, then you need an original post, an archive, platform context, account identity, and possibly independent reporting. Without that, the screenshot is just a lead. So the problem is not that tools are useless. The problem is that tools do not replace judgment, delivery, or review. Here is the central distinction. A tool tutorial teaches operations. This course trains the chain. Operations are things like, click this button, type this query, export this result. We need those skills. Later in the course, we will use many tools and platforms. But an investigation chain asks a different set of questions. Where does this result come from? Can it be traced back to a source? Does it support the claim, or only point toward something worth checking? Can another person review the path you took? Take reverse image search. The tool may tell you that an image appeared 3 years ago on another website. That is a useful result. But the judgment is not simply fake. A better conclusion might be, this image appears to predate the current event, so it is likely being reused. However, this does not by itself prove the current event did not happen. That is why the course keeps coming back to the chain. Question, source, evidence, verification, judgment, output. If the question is vague, every search feels possible, and that is how investigations become scattered. Check this company sounds like a task, but it is not yet a usable investigation question. Check what? Whether the company legally exists, whether it has lawsuits, whether it has real operations, whether it is safe as a supplier, whether online complaints suggest fraud. Each version sends you to different sources. Registration records help with legal existence. Court records and penalties help with risk. Hiring pages and public job posts may show operating signals. News and social media help with public complaints and reputation. This is why we do not start with, which website should I use? We start with 3 practical lines. What decision will this investigation support? What claim or risk do I need to test? What evidence would be enough to make a careful judgment? Once those lines are clear, the tool choice becomes much less random. Let's talk about evidence chains, because this is where many beginner reports fall apart. Finding a result is not the same as building evidence. You may find a page saying a company was fined. Good start. But if you only paste a screenshot into a slide, the reader still has many questions. Who published it? Was it an official regulator, a news outlet, or a copied blog post? When was it published? Is there an original announcement? Did the company appeal? Was the penalty minor, serious, recent, or already resolved? An evidence chain keeps these pieces together. Source, time, original context, saved copy, and the exact claim the material supports. This matters because evidence has limits. A public penalty notice may support there was a regulatory penalty. It may not support this company is definitely a scam. A screenshot may support this rumor is circulating. It may not support the rumor is true. Good OSINT work respects that boundary. The moment you find something interesting is not the finish line. It is the start of verification. This is hard because our brains like quick conclusions. A dramatic image appears, and we want to say true or false. A search result matches what we expected, and we want to stop. A negative article about a company confirms our suspicion, and we want to copy it into the report. Slow down. For a viral photo, verification may mean checking earlier appearances, image crops, location clues, local media, weather, shadows, official statements, and whether the supposed independent sources are actually copying the same post. And the result may not be a clean yes or no. Often the honest answer is, the image is likely old, but the event itself is not yet confirmed, or the location appears consistent, but the time remains uncertain. That kind of wording is not weakness. It is professional restraint. We say only what the evidence can support. A pile of screenshots is not a deliverable. Screenshots are useful working material. Links are useful working material. But if you hand someone 10 screenshots and say, "Here, I checked it," they still have to do the thinking themselves. A better OSINT output tells the reader what you concluded, why, how confident you are, what the evidence cannot prove, and what should be checked next. Here is the kind of sentence we want to train. The image is likely reused from an older event, because earlier copies were found before the claimed date. However, this only weakens the image claim. It does not fully resolve whether the current event happened. Notice what that sentence does. It gives a judgment. It names the evidence. It limits the claim. It leaves room for follow-up. That is much more useful than, "I found this link," or "looks fake." Tools break. That is not a theory. It happens constantly. A website redesigns its interface. A search feature disappears. A platform requires login. An API becomes paid. A browser extension stops working. If your skill is only, "I know where to click," your workflow breaks with it. Method gives you a way around that. If one reverse image search tool stops working, you still know what you are trying to find: earlier appearances, original context, alternate crops, similar visuals, old captions, and independent sources. If one company database is unavailable, you still know the source categories: registration, filings, lawsuits, penalties, websites, hiring signals, media, and complaints. So transfer does not mean being vague. It means knowing the purpose behind the tool well enough to replace the tool. A useful self-test is this: if this website disappears tomorrow, do I still know what evidence I need and where else I might look? Let's use one screenshot and compare two ways of learning. The tool path is fast. Search the image. Search a few words. If nothing appears, stop. Sometimes that works, but often it leaves you with a weak answer: "I did not find anything." The method path is slower, but it produces a better record. First, write down the claim. Is the screenshot claiming a person said something, a company published something, or an event happened somewhere? Then trace the source. Is there an original post? Is the screenshot cropped? Does the account name match a real account? Does the timestamp make sense? Are there archived copies? Are other sources independently reporting the same thing, or are they all reposting the same screenshot? Now the final answer can be more careful. The original post has not been found. Current evidence is insufficient to confirm the screenshot. Further checking should focus on source tracing, account history, and independent reporting. That answer is not flashy, but it is usable. This slide is the course map compressed into 5 abilities. First, define the problem. If you do not know what you are answering, every source looks tempting. Second, find sources. Not all public sources do the same job. Official records, media archives, social posts, maps, company databases, and technical records each answer different kinds of questions. Third, verify evidence. We check source, time, context, second sources, counter-evidence, and strength. Fourth, make a judgment. This is where we decide what the evidence supports, what it does not support, and how confident we are. Fifth, deliver clearly. A report, a timeline, a table, a map, or a short briefing should help someone else understand and review the conclusion. When you get stuck later in the course, come back to these 5 points. Are you stuck because the question is unclear? Because the source is weak? Because the evidence is unverified? Because the judgment is too strong? Or because the output is hard to read? That diagnosis matters. This course is designed to move from understanding to doing. It is not enough to hear a concept and think, I get it. OSINT skill becomes real when you produce a small record that someone else can review. When we study source evaluation, you should be able to fill out a source rating table. When we study geolocation, you should leave a location verification record. What visual clues matched, what did not match, what time limits remain. When we study company checks, you should produce a short risk note, not just a folder of screenshots. The learning loop is simple: concept, case, method, practice, output, review. But do not treat that as a slogan. Treat it as a working habit. Every lesson should leave something behind: a checklist, a table, a timeline, a confidence sentence, a short report, or a list of evidence gaps. That is how "I understood the lecture" becomes "I can actually do the work." Your output for this lesson is a tool-to-method comparison table. Pick one tool you already know. It can be a search engine, a reverse image search tool, a map platform, a company lookup site, or a username search tool. Do not only write what the tool does. Put it into 5 columns. Tool: what is it? Problem solved: what question does it help answer? Evidence produced: what kind of result does it give you? Verification method: what must you check before trusting the result? Final output: what kind of judgment can this support? For reverse image search, the final output might be: the image is likely reused from an older source, but the current incident still needs local confirmation. That one sentence shows the point of the whole exercise. The tool gave you a lead. The method turned it into a careful, limited judgment. The main shift in this lesson is simple. We stop treating OSINT as a toolbox and start treating it as an investigation workflow. Tools matter. We will use many of them. But tools without a clear question, evidence chain, verification step, and delivery standard do not become reliable OSINT work. From now on, when you learn any tool, ask 4 questions. What problem does it help solve? What evidence does it produce? How could that evidence be wrong? What kind of judgment can I responsibly write from it? Next, we move to the boundary of lawful public information. That comes early for a reason. Once you start investigating, you will see many things that are technically visible but not necessarily appropriate to use, store, or spread. Public does not mean unrestricted. Searchable does not mean ethical. Before we add more tools, we need the boundary to be clear.